When it comes to writing themes for complex characters, it's important that the music is adaptable and moldable to the different story arcs that a character may experience. I personally ran into this situation on my last series, Walker Independence. The show had an incredible cast of characters, many of them with individual motifs and themes, and as a co-composer on the series, when I was writing themes, it wasn't always known how a character's story was going to evolve. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to navigate this type of writing challenge by using one of my favorite characters from the series as an example. I'm going to show you exactly how the theme started, how I used different arrangements and instruments to make it sound darker or more brooding, and then when major shifts happened in the story, how I adjusted things so that musically the theme evolved with the audience's understanding of that character. If you feel like this sounds like the sort of content you enjoy watching, or you feel it's going to be helpful to you as a musician or aspiring composer for film and TV, please make sure to like the video and subscribe. Let's dive in and learn how to write evolving themes for complex characters. So the character we're going to speak about in this episode is Tom Davidson. To give you a brief background on him, the beginning of the series revolves around the fact that he is the new sheriff in town. The way the audience is introduced to him is that we believe he killed the sheriff in order to take his place. From the very beginning, we're meant to believe that this is the bad guy. And with that in mind, this was the very first iteration of his theme that I sketched out on the piano. I'm going to play it for you really quick here. Very, very simple. I commonly sketch this sort of material with just one hand on the piano, and then I'll fill in the harmony and flesh out the idea later, but I like to get a really bare bones idea of the character just like this. Here's an example of how I then use that in a cue from the first episode. I'm going to highlight the instruments that play the theme, which in this case is just the low strings and a pad, and I used my guitar viol to perform with the low strings, and I kept the tonation very purposefully a bit pitchy so that it would feel kind of strange and unsettling. So let's look at this. That's how it sounds when you take that first piano sketch and then you bring it down into the low strings. It's a pretty obvious bad guy theme. It's very primitive, there's really no harmony, but here's what happened. With each episode, it became less clear whether or not this character was really a bad guy. He became more mysterious than evil, and the viewer starts to feel like maybe he didn't kill the sheriff because he's a very likable character, and we find out that there's a lot of missing information. The theme then had to evolve with the character, so I pivoted from this darker approach that's heard when we first meet him, and I changed up the instrumentation, adding harmony and chords underneath to sell this sort of transformation. So here's an example of that evolution. Let's listen to it together and then we'll break it down. There's much more uncertainty now, and you can tell that the character is up to something, but we're just not sure what. The important thing is that this is still very much the character's theme from that original piano sketch, but it no longer has that obvious villainous feel to it. I'd say that the biggest change is that by taking the strings out of the low octave, we're now able to play it in a higher register, and in doing so, we could do cool stuff harmonically that really speaks to the character's transformation. So let's open up the piano roll, and I'm going to show you what that sounds like. So you can see I have the melody here, or the main theme, on the top, and beneath it I've added these harmonies which start with D minor, it moves then to A minor with the third on the bottom, and then we change that to an A major with the 5th on the bottom, so second inversion, and it gives us this nice ending to the first phrase of the theme. So look at this is a D minor, and then we move to an A minor, and then an A major. And that's what's helping to create this much lighter version of everything. So I also just want to take a second to point out something here. You can hear when we played this that there's some really light and interesting pads underneath it. It's helping to create that sort of like very minimal vibe, and it's really airy and nice. Those are actually textures that I created myself with my guitar viol, and a lot of them were used when I created this instrument called tension pads, which is available for free on my educational website, modernmediacomposer.com. I just wanted to let you know, if you signed up there, you'll be notified whenever I release new educational content like this, and also you'll get this instrument for free that I use on television shows just like this, and I've been using it for many years. So if you want to pick that up, you can get it for free on my website. The next thing that happens with this character and his musical theme is really quite interesting. It led to one of my favorite cues in the entire season. You discover something about the character and their relationship to the main heroine of the story. It's kind of like musically this full transformation of his theme. It's tender, it's loving, and it could not be more different than the way we originally discovered the character in episode 1. We're going to take a listen to it now. The clip is going to start with the heroine's theme, and then this theme of Tom Davidson, the sheriff, is going to sort of intertwine, and I'm going to point it out, but it should be easily identifiable, even though it's now speaking to a completely different character and character traits than how it was first intended to be used. So let's check that out. So that's a different theme, that's for the heroine. Still her theme. And here we go. I really loved this scene. It was such a joy to work on. As you can hear, the music is now, it has this very romantic feeling, and it's very bittersweet. So to illustrate the contrast, let's go all the way back for a second to that beginning and hear how the theme sounded when we first met the character. Right, so that's the first half, and now here it is in this new moment where we see this character in a completely different light. It's quite different emotionally, and again, it's one of the things that made this show so much fun to work on. There's one more big transformation that happens now. In the finale, there was a big revelation. The season ends with an enormous action shootout. This character is ruthless and aggressive, as we always knew that they could be, and it leads to a standoff. This is where we hear it in a much more epic action context for this big ending. So let's take a listen to that. Same melody, but we play to the aggression, the drama, and ultimately the journey of this character. The arrangement is what really helps us sell the moment. So we're back to playing his theme in the beginning part. You can hear it's in the low register, and it's doubled with gritty, distorted guitars. I'm actually like playing insanely aggressively the guitar viol underneath there as well. And we have this whole ensemble do the second half of the theme, so you get the high violins and fiddles playing the second half. By using all of these techniques, we've been able to follow the character's evolution and speak to his journey, which ultimately, it helps the overall story to be told in a much more effective manner. Now the question is, how do composers do this with multiple characters on a series when there's really, really tight deadlines? Many young composers are intimidated by the idea of simply delivering 30 minutes of a score in a week, and you might feel reinventing or coming up with meaningful themes like this while doing all the underscore is a difficult or impossible task. And that's why you need to watch this video right here, because that's where I'm going to share with you exactly how I've streamlined my studio and my writing process so that I can take on these sort of tasks, typically for multiple projects at a time. As always, I hope this was helpful.